Hello guys, Grape with you. In this video we will take the first look on Unity and even write a small script. At first, let's start with Unity window, because before work we need to know what we are working with. Let's look from the top to the bottom. On the very top we see Toolbar. In this panel you can choose tools that will tune object scale, position and rotation. Below this panel we have Hierarchy tab. In this tab we see all the objects that we have on our scene, and you can also create different groups of objects, tune their parenting relationships, choose what is subsidiary object and what is parenting one. Below this panel we see two tabs, Project and Console. Project tab shows us all the folders, scripts, sprites, prefabs that we have in our project. Simply put, the whole project. Console tab shows us every error and warning that we have in our project. This can be error in script or with reference, warning that we created something but didn't use. The next tab is Inspector. This is one of the main tabs in Unity window, like Hierarchy, because in this tab you work with objects components and with components parameters. And the last Unity Windows element is Scene View and Game View tabs. They are situated in the center of the window. On the Scene tab you can add different objects in your game, and through the toolbar or in the inspector change their scale, position and rotation. And in the Game tab you can see how the game will look on the player's screens, and test the game yourself. Okay guys, now let's get some practice. So you joined Unity, you have such window, and let's create a folder that will be called Sprites. And in this folder let's create a 2D sprite. So a square, call it character, and drag it on the scene. So our sprite by the default have such components in the inspector, like transform. This component can change the position of our object, the rotation of our object by the X, Y and Z, and the scale of our object. The next component, Sprite Renderer, can change the color of our object, the sprite of our object, flip by X and by Y, and one of the most important parameters of this object is an order in layer. So this parameter can help us to make layers on our scene, like if we want this red square to be on that white square, not under it, we click on it and say that its order layer is 1, and now it's on the white square, not under it. Okay, that's great. And now let's add some physics to our red square, because when we hit play we see that the squares are just floating and have no physics. I will delete this white square and add to the red one a component that is called Rigid-Body2D. So we go to Add Component, Physics 2D and Rigid-Body2D. Thanks to rigid body, our object will have physics. It has mass, gravity scale, angular drag, linear drag, and so on. So now if we hit play, our object is just falls down. So it falls down because we can't collide with anything. Like we don't have any object that we can collide with. So we need to have something like ground and to tune collisions between ground and our character. So to make our character collide with ground, we need to create one more 2D sprite that is called ground. We will call it ground. And to make it its scale by X, something like that. And let's change color to green. And the component that will help us to make collisions is called Collider2D. But if we add a collider only to our character, we won't collide with our ground because it hasn't have box collider. Let's add it to the ground. Okay, nice. Let's check it out. And now our character collides with our ground. Great. And the last thing we will speak about is scripts. Scripts are very important in game development because scripts is a logic, and every game needs logic because thanks to scripts you can change every component, every parameter in component on our object. Let's create a folder, call it scripts, and create a C# script and call it script. Okay, we have tons of readable code, and I will tell you about this part in a nutshell because in many situations during your game development career, you will have such situations where you don't know what is that, but you know how to use it and you know how it works. So this is libraries, this is inheritance, and this is methods. So we will talk about methods now. Inheritance is also a very important part, but we will talk about it in the other tutorials. And now about the methods. So what is the method? The method is a code block that contains a series statements. So we can write here everything we want, and our object will do that. We will do that we write here. So like start method and update method, these are the default methods of Unity, but we can also create our own methods and we must call them. But now not about this. So some other methods, default Unity methods are awake method, fixed update method, and okay, these four are the most popular methods, and I will talk about them now. So what is the difference of these methods? Method start calls when our program starts, but method awake calls earlier than the start. So I will show you, like if we say debug.log, we will print something into the console. Oh, not awake, start. The command debug log prints the string, so this is a string, into the console. Okay. And now we need to attach the script to our object, because if we hit play, we have nothing in console. So we need to attach this script to our character. We can just drag this here or click add component, scripts, and find our script here. So now if we hit play, we see in console two messages, awake and start. But the awake is earlier than the start. It's the only difference between these methods. And now about other two methods, fixed update and update. Update is a method that calls every frame. So let's debug.log time.delta-time. So time.delta-time is the time that our method calls. Okay, and now if we will save it, hit play, we will see that our method calls a random period of time. It's just every frame, so it calls every frame. And if we will make such operation with a fixed update, we will see that it has fixed time. So this time is 0.02. Okay. So the fixed update has a fixed time. So we can use fixed update to work with physics. Because if we use update, we can have some bugs in future. And now let's write a script that will transform the position of our object, of our character. We need to create a start method. So the start method calls when our program, our game starts. So what we need to do then? Then we need to take a component that is called transform. We write transform dot. We need to take a parameter of transform that is called position. So say position, and we need to transform in certain direction. And in mathematics, you know that direction is a vector, so we need to create a new vector, too, and say coordinates. So 3, 0. Like, we will transform the position of our character by 3 by x. Now let's try. So we see that the position is 2.99999 and it is nearly 3. Okay, that's great, guys. Okay guys, that's all for today, and now you see the homework on your screens. So the homework is to play with transform parameters and put them into the different methods and see what happens.